It's time for our hit news show, Insight to Israel. I'm your host, Natasha Kirchuk, and coming up, one man makes it his mission to save and protect elderly dogs across Israel. Feeling hungry? Well, we'll reveal just where to get a taste of the most typical dessert in the Holy Land. And we hope you're ready to laugh because we have the scoop on what locals would do if they won $1 million. If you go to your local shelter, you'll most likely see tons of elderly dogs that just can't seem to find homes. It's a devastating truth. Most people just don't want to take on the challenge of taking care of an old dog. Well, one Israeli man is doing just the opposite. He has 50 dogs, and they're all ages 12 and above. Check this out.
This is Chip. He loves balls, long walks around the neighborhood, and as many snuggles as he can get. But at 15 years old, he was abandoned by his family because they just couldn't take care of his growing health needs.
Chip was dropped off by 3 men that came here. They promised me they'll take care of him for everything you need, and they disappeared.
Chip is just one of millions of dogs that are abandoned every year because of one thing and one thing only: their old age. It's a sad fact. 1 in 4 dogs taken to shelters each year are dropped off because their owners say that they're just too old to handle. Oh, I love you.
That's why an Israeli man named Kobe Brooks has decided to do something about it. He's opened the first association for elderly dogs in Israel. Today, the center called Chofshi has around 50 dogs.
They come to die here, to spend the rest of their life in a healthy environment. Some people were asking me to come and pick up the dogs from Tel Aviv, from Jerusalem. I was picking up the dog and start making my way back to home. The dog's in the back seat of my car, I'm driving alone. But suddenly, in the middle of the way, I was like breaking, tears, crying like a baby. And then I realized that really dogs are really touching me in the places I didn't know.
Tuvia is 22 years old, the oldest dog in the Chofshi Center. Tequila is a beautiful lady. She has some issues staying balanced, but you know, we all do. This little guy is Magic Mike. He is a blind dog that used to be a service dog for the blind. So you can imagine that when he lost his sight, his owners weren't really able to take care of him.
Most of the dogs living in the center have issues walking, standing up, and controlling their bathroom needs. Some of their owners have brought them to Chofshi to live out their last days in a place of comfort. But others would have faced a dark fate in shelters.
חוץ ממקומות כאלה, האופציה היחידה בעצם היא להרדים כלבים במצב כזה. וכמו שראיתם כאן, הכלבים שאיתנו הם לא סובלים. טוב להם, הם מאושרים. ואין שום סיבה להרדים אותם.
Today there are over 33,000 dogs in shelters across Israel.
אני חושבת שאנשים שמאמצים כלב לא רואים כל כך רחוק. הכלב שהוא כמו הילד שלך, אתה לא מדמיין לעצמך את הזקנה שלו.
It's really impossible to find a home for an elderly dog. Really impossible. The government, the state should take care of the animals.
But if you were to meet the dogs at Chofshi, you might change your mind about bringing an elderly dog into your home.
אני חושבת שכלבים קשישים נותנים אהבה בכמה שהם מודים, בכמה שהם באמת מעריכים. אני מרגישה את זה, שהאהבה שאני מקבלת מהם היא אחרת.
Moving on to a difficult but extremely important topic. At least 1 in 6 men have been sexually assaulted or abused. But despite this shocking statistic, the issue sadly remains very taboo to talk about. Last month, I was scrolling through Facebook and I saw a very moving post online by a man named Daniel Goldberg. He is a former Israeli combat veteran who works as a portfolio manager at a major venture capital firm. But his background wasn't able to protect him from a disturbing case of sexual assault. He decided to go public with his story, and he's joining me in the studio today to tell us why. Now, Daniel, thank you so much for joining us to talk about this. Not easy. Tell us a little bit about what happened to you.
So first of all, I'm a bit nervous. Never done this before, but I promised myself that I would do whatever I can to build awareness and help other victims. The story behind this post happened about 2 months ago. I was at a workshop. This workshop helps build awareness, helps us connect to our emotions and be more empathetic towards others. The first time I was there, I went down for lunch, and I noticed there was a guy who wasn't 100% in the head, and I was always taught since I was a child to notice and be empathetic towards people who were generally in the shadows. And I just managed some small talk with him. How are you doing? What's going on? Then he gave me food, and I went on. I think the second time I even gave him a friendly hug, just like, you know, quick pat on the back, and left the place, and nothing happened, and it was great. It gave me a good feeling that I was being nice to him. And then 2 months ago when I was there, I was with my student. I went down to lunch, and I noticed that Saturday night we don't have dinner. So I said, hey man, let me give you a hug. I'll say goodbye. I'm not going to see you. And he was cleaning the table, so he said, wait, I need to wash my hands. And that was a bit weird, but I said, okay, you need to wash his hands. We went out to the hand washing area, and then I said, okay, bye dude. And then he said, wait, just 1 second, I want to show you something. Come with me. So I was a bit confused, but what does he want to show me? I went around the corner, and he stood there right next to the bathroom, and he said in Hebrew, do you want to go to the bathroom? And I said, I was confused. I said, no, I don't need to pee. And at that moment, he just jumped me. He forced himself upon me. He started kissing me on the neck. And it was a matter of 2-3 seconds, but I froze, and it brought me, and then he just disconnected, went back, said, bye man, and I froze, and it brought me back to this situation when I was a boy, which kind of happened between the ages of 13 and 16, growing up in Beit Shemesh in an Orthodox community. We won't go into detail there now, but I started walking up the stairs, and I said, you know, nothing happened, I'm not going to talk about it. And then I stopped myself and I said, Daniel, you're not that young boy anymore who is scared and lost. You know what this man just did was wrong. This is sexual assault. And I went down and I confronted him.
You actually decided to go public with your experience, and you know, this is something that sadly stands out because a lot of men who deal with issues like this or deal with, you know, cases of assault feel scared to speak out, but you took to social media. Why did you do that?
So what happened was there were a couple hours of breakdown, and then I started seeing black and saying I can't trust anyone anymore. But then after a couple hours, I said there could be many other victims here, and I need to do something in order to stop this man and maybe others. So the next day, before going public, it wasn't even in my mind yet, I said, I'm going to speak to anyone that will listen in this facility, which I did. They kicked him out that evening. I went to the police station that day. It was on Sunday. I was at the police station for 4 hours, gave them testimony. And then when I came back home, my wife said, why don't you start telling people? And I said, no, I'm embarrassed. Because I barely told anyone about my first story. And then I said, you know what? You're right. And I sent a message on our WhatsApp group at work, and I said, guys, I was sexually assaulted. I'm going to the police now, and I'm not coming in today. And the next day, I went to my boss before our meeting, and I said, I want a couple minutes, and I want to speak to everyone. And so I told them my story, and I told them I'm building awareness and how they need to be aware because they have children. And
what's interesting is that, I saw that when you posted on Facebook, and that's how I heard about your story from the post that you made, and it stood out to me, that there were a lot of women who were responding. About 90% of the messages were women who were kind of standing in solidarity with you, but you didn't see that kind of same response from men.
But I got tens or even hundreds of messages privately, which were both from females and men, telling me that my post gave them the courage to speak out to tell me their story for the first time. So men were still embarrassed to speak out publicly, but in private, like I said, they were telling me their stories.
So, I mean, clearly this really did garner a response, and I guess my question for you is, what do you hope will change in the future after having, shared such a story publicly?
So it's a very good question. I think, first of all, building awareness, because sexual victims, the largest problem, it's bad enough that they go through with the attack, but then they feel ashamed and they feel embarrassed and they feel that they're being judged by others, and they don't know that others have been hurt by the same person, maybe. So just to mention that since my post came out, 5 other grown men came and said that the same guy assaulted them as well, and 2 of them have already been to the police station and given their testimony. So it's making an impact, and the fact that I spoke up gave them the courage to speak up as well. Now they know they're not alone. So
yeah, it's unbelievable. Well, Daniel, I just want to say thank you so much for coming here and sitting with us today and having the courage to talk about this issue. It's so important. I mean, our viewers heard the statistics. 1 in 6 men have dealt with sexual assault. That is a huge number, and the hope is that there are more people like you who are going to speak out about this and help change the taboo. Thank you so much for coming in, Daniel.
Thank you so much, Natasha.
All right, guys, I think we need a laugh after that. It's time for our segment, Israelis Say. What would you do if you won $1 million? We wanted to hear what locals have to say, so correspondent Joy Gavishon and I hit the streets of Tel Aviv.
It's time for our question of the week. Natasha, what's the question?
I forgot it.
Natasha, what's the question?
If you were a millionaire, what would you do with the money?
Oh, easy. Invest it, get 10% returns, live off of the $100,000, and keep the principal.
Wow, he has a plan.
$1 million, it's not enough for anything.
Oh my God, people are greedy.
קיבלתם $1,000,000, מה הייתם עושים?
דירות לכל המשפחה.
I'm wondering if we are considered part of the family.
Yeah.
You are.
כן.
You
היינו
That's so nice.
But only in חיפה. Not in Tel Aviv.
Oh,
He
wow.
sent me to Haifa.
This turned dark really fast.
I would uproot my life and just travel for a year.
Fair enough.
קודם כל הייתי עוזרת לילדים שלי, 5 ילדים שלי.
קונה איזה דירה ככה, מייצב את עצמי. כנראה שגם תורם קצת.
I want to go to Asia first. I've yet to go to Asia. That would be my first stop.
Buy a small house and travel around the world, probably.
Who says it has to be small?
Because in $1 million you can buy even an apartment in Tel Aviv.
מה יש לעשות עם כסף? הכל אותו דבר, תאמיני לי.
אז אתה לא היית רוצה private jet כזה.
מה זה ייתן לי כאילו?
So he can give it to me.
בסדר, אז אנחנו רוצים את הכסף, נו, מה איתנו?
איפה? תביא את הכסף.
Buy one of those buildings that's abandoned and give homeless people jobs to restore it, live in there, and take care of it, and run it like a hotel so that the money starts to recycle itself.
Treasury.
We love the ocean, but the fact is we're ruining it. Each year, 8 million tons of plastic end up in the ocean, and by 2050, the amount of plastic in the sea will outweigh fish. Here's the good news. Israeli researchers have figured out a sustainable way to create plastic from seaweed, and hopefully it will help us save the environment. Now, researchers at Tel Aviv University are now producing plastic from marine microorganisms that completely recycle into organic waste. They've basically created a bioplastic polymer that's called PHA, and it's made out of multicellular seaweed that's cultivated in the sea. Now, there are already other bioplastics that exist, but they're made out of plants that require fertile soil and fresh water, resources that a lot of countries just don't have, countries like Israel, China, and India. Now, this new seaweed plastic would revolutionize the world's efforts to clean the oceans without actually impacting arable land and, of course, using precious fresh water. Plastics take hundreds of years to decay, so today the bottles, the packaging, and the bags that end up in the ocean severely endanger wildlife and pollute the ecosystem. Luckily, the study being conducted by Tel Aviv University professors Alexander Goldberg and Mikael Gozin will combat this issue. They're now conducting basic research to find the best algae suitable to produce bioplastics that won't further pollute the environment. And if all goes as planned, the next time you go to the beach, you may see a lot less trash.
All right, I hope you're hungry because we're talking Israeli dessert at its finest. Wondering what the most typical dessert in Israel is? Well, just watch this.
The most typical dessert in Israel is to roll up a joint, I guess.
Okay, we're taking this to a different place, my friend.
I know, Monavie.
Yeah, let's go.
Around 80 years ago, something magical happened. This arrived in Israel.
It's called Monavie, a creamy milk pudding drizzled with a dash of rose water, some sweet syrup, and whatever toppings your little heart desires.
This is a Monavie, one of the most popular joints in Tel Aviv to get your weekly dose, or for some daily dose, of Monavie.
Would you like the vegan Monavie or the dairy Monavie?
Try the vegan Monavie.
The vegan, good choice. We have the classic syrup, we have vanilla cinnamon, lemon cardamom, and caramel.
Look at what I get to eat.
I actually bring my dates because it's cheap. You know, it's only 10 shekels. So many dates you have.
I've never heard of Monavie before, but I feel like my world is opened.
Do you come to Monavie a lot?
Yeah, to eat Monavie and to drink arak.
At 4:30 p.m., my friends.
The treat has Persian roots that date back to the 10th century, but it made its way through Turkey and Syria before it landed in Israel. And for the last 4.5 years, Monavie has been serving Monavie and Monavie only to hundreds of people on a daily basis.
I'm sure that Monavie helped get the Monavie to be one of the most popular desserts here in Israel. Everything is fresh, everything is made here, even the syrup itself. We're using organic rosewater that are growing here in Israel. The lady who does the rosewater for us, we help her to pick up the flowers. The procedure is very, very sophisticated. People did it like centuries ago.
But Monavie is more than just Monavie. It's become a community center in Tel Aviv where customers can have drinks and play board games while they enjoy dessert. Sometimes a little too much.
Monavie is the most typical dessert in Israel. If I mix this with such a beautiful girl like you, this is all I need in my life. This is everything for me, seriously.
No, don't leave Israel without trying Monavie. If not our Monavie, someone else's Monavie.
All right, it's time for our segment, What's Trending with Nauri Lizarraga. Now, Nauri, tell us what is going viral in Israel this week.
Well, Eurovision 2019 Tel Aviv finally is getting closer.
I know, you are so excited about this, a little bit too much.
Yes,
maybe.
I am, actually.
All right, so when is Eurovision happening?
Eurovision is happening on the 14th, 16th, and 18th of May.
Right.
Of the coming May, yeah.
And there are going to be 42 countries that are participating.
42 countries participating, including Australia.
Okay. And so when are the tickets going on sale? This is important to know because of what is going viral here.
They were supposed to go on sale tomorrow, but it got canceled, so it's going to be like in the coming weeks.
But we have to watch out because the issue is that, first of all, there are people who are willing to pay a lot of money for these tickets.
Yeah, it's crazy. I talked to some of the fans, and I mean, there are going to be only 4,000 tickets available, which is nothing. They're willing to pay 5,000 shekels only for one ticket to be in the Eurovision. It's crazy.
Well, okay, so one of the big issues that we're seeing, because there are supposed to be around 20,000 tourists coming here, is a lack of places to stay, hotels. So I'm hearing a lot of people who want to actually rent out their apartments.
They want to sublet their apartments only for a week, and we did some research, and actually some of the prices were around 1,200 shekels per night.
Oh my God, I can make some money in May.
I think you should do it.
I know, I have an apartment right in the center of Tel Aviv, so I might actually want to do this. And if you can't find an Airbnb or a hotel, what are the other options?
Well, actually the municipality of Tel Aviv is going to build a tent city in Park Ayarkon. It's going to be full of tents, and it's going to be in a very affordable price for the people, for all the tourists that want to come here, they don't have a place.
Well, I may end up staying in Park Ayarkon if I rent out my apartment. We'll see what happens. Nauri, thank you for joining us. And
thanks,
can't wait till the Eurovision. Now, this is crazy and amazing all at once. An Israeli startup has come up with a technology that eliminates cancerous tumors in 70% of cases. And get this, their breakthrough radiation treatment is so powerful that it won't harm surrounding healthy tissues. Now, this magic all started 15 years ago when professors Yona Kesari and Nitza Kelsen from Tel Aviv University found a way to use alpha radiation to destroy tumors. Their solution can snap both strands of a cancer cell's DNA, but it doesn't hurt other healthy tissue like most radiation treatments do today. Now, they formed a new company called Alpha Tau and have already raised $29 million to develop their treatment. 85% of cancer deaths are actually caused by the metastasis of solid tumors, and their alpha radiation solution can treat these tumors for a range of diseases, from pancreatic and skin cancer to breast and prostate cancer. Right now, the treatment is being tested in a series of trials at medical centers in more than 25 different countries, and once approved, it could save millions of lives. Plus, alpha radiation is actually safer than conventional treatments. It requires less radioactivity, and patients can be treated in an outpatient environment with no radioactive shielding. Plus, within 2 weeks, alpha radiation will be totally eliminated from the body. Now, this treatment is already saving lives in trials. Take pancreatic cancer as an example. Today, it has no cure, and patients usually die within 5 years of diagnosis. Alpha Tau may be able to totally change that prognosis, and we'll just have to wait and see when and if it is finally approved for the public. All right, today marks International Holocaust Day, and a very special 93-year-old Holocaust survivor is on a mission to make sure the world remembers the lives of those lost. Meet Saul Dreyer.
I want that people should see it all over the world. They should see this. I'm a Holocaust survivor. My whole family was wiped out. In the concentration camp, I stayed alive because I had 2 spoons and playing like drums. We didn't have much food, but we had music. At 89, I started the Holocaust Survivor Band. Somebody up there told me what to do. Now I'm traveling the world to tell everybody the most remembered. Never again! Never again! In Warsaw, Poland, in Auschwitz, in Berlin, in Israel, in Parkland, Florida. Today our band is in New York to tell more people they have to remember. Today, I sing to the joy of life, because I know the horrors of death, and no one should forget. We remember! Never forget! Please, create a remember sign. Post it on social media. Believe me, you're gonna have a mitzvah. To life, l'chaim, l'chaim, to life.
The World Jewish Congress actually put together this video as part of their international campaign called #WeRemember. To take part, all you have to do is post a photo of yourself with the hashtag #WeRemember on social media. And that way you too can make sure that the world never forgets. All right, my friends, that's it for this week's episode of Insight. I'm Natasha Kirchuk, and keep on smiling.